Women are not imposters. Mercy is not an imposter. People of color, Black people, Indigenous people, people with beautiful, fluid identities are not imposters, and no one here is an imposter. And yet, too many of us know what it feels like to not belong. That heavy feeling inside you that says that you're not good enough, or that every day will be the day when people discover you're a fraud. As a Filipina, I too have felt this way. I think whenever we feel this way, it shows that we live in a society that says that people have imposter syndrome. But here's the secret. We're not broken. Our culture is. My name is AnnMarie Baines, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Practice Space. The Practice Space exists because silencing exists. In our nonprofit, we offer programs and educational programs around public speaking to elevate underrepresented voices. Our after-school programs and partnerships are quirky, silly, and fun, but our mission is serious. Our work in schools and organizations offer a chance for our majority of total 1,600 participants to feel like they have a voice, that they can use it. The majority of our participants are women, girls, and gender-expansive youth, people of color, people with disabilities, English language learners, and first-generation college students. We create spaces where it's okay to express your unique voice and believe that your voice matters. So let me tell you a little bit about what we've been up to since our last Pitchfest 1 year ago. First of all, we served an additional 400 new participants, both through our in-person programs and online. We also retained participants like 15-year-old Mistura Bancole, who I'll show you in a second, who is entering her 5th year at the Practice Space. One thing that's really exciting about her work is that she joined our first ever junior board of directors, which we started this year, and recently placed in the top 20 in the entire state of California with an original speech that she wrote about her experience with sexual violence. She also contributed to our book, which we contracted this past year. One thing that we continued doing is being able to serve 80% women, girls, and gender-expansive youth, split evenly roughly between 60% youth and 40% adults. Greater than 99% reported that they increased their confidence and their communication skills. We also worked in this past year with 16 community partners, with the majority in underrepresented communities. We also worked with over 100 educators in low-income schools. And in this past year, educators reported that they increased participation for English language learners and students with special needs, especially after working with the Practice Space. Women secured jobs, they secured promotions, they were able to tell their stories about sexual violence. And girls spoke up more in class, they created podcasts, they were also able to win speech and debate competitions. One of the things that was really exciting this past year was that one of our young girls were also elected the City of Richmond's first Youth Poet Laureate. And another became the youngest ever qualifier to the national championships in speech and debate at age 15. Title IX was a huge part of this journey. We were able to invest the $3,000 award as the winner of one of the winners of last year's Pitchfest. We invested the $3,000 award into our Expressive Leaders program, which is a program for young leaders to be able to use their voice, to be able to create positive community change. Girls and gender-expansive youth were able to create projects to tackle mental health, poverty, climate change, and the need to tackle historical misrepresentation of women. Past graduates of this program this past year also created our first ever self-advocacy course, which is to create a space for girls and gender-expansive youth to have a space to practice expressing their stories with gender identity. Having the membership to the Alliance for Girls, which was supported by Title IX, was so important for us to be able to reach other girl-serving organizations because we led workshops on our method of expression-driven teaching for them. It was so fun to see many T9ers out there in our courses, and then we also were able to coach Missy Park, and it was so fun for media interviews. Johnny Lynn joined our board. We were so excited to work with Roxanne from Girls Crushing It on their Pitchfest, and also to work with Pitchfest finalists for today. And I'm so excited to be able to work with Title IX managers and interns this summer with all of our workshops on public speaking. Title IX makes me feel strong and ready to own, risk, and lead this work. I'm going to not deal with this. We're going to see it later. What is next? So throughout our work, we just passed our first 3-year strategic plan. And in this 3-year strategic plan over the next 3 years, we aim to be able to double our budget, which is currently at $473,000, and double our business to be able to reach another 2,000 people locally in the Bay Area. In Goal 1, we will serve all of the elementary schools in Richmond and West Contra Costa Unified, focused on low-income schools. Goal 2 is about creating strategic partnerships with organizations that advance equity, and specifically women-owned and women-serving organizations like Title IX, which you'll see. Yes, there it is. In Goal 3, we are going to strengthen our work with women and girls through youth leadership and online programs. And in Goal 4, we're going to create easy-to-use practice resources that serve underserved populations, such as girls and Spanish speakers and the teachers who serve them. We've been laying the groundwork for this plan. First, in the recent months, we moved our office to downtown Richmond to be able to be embedded in the communities that we served. We also hired young people as coaches, and we also hired a senior program director who is a woman of color born in Richmond. We received a grant from the Hewlett Foundation to be able to build our capacity to measure impact. And we also shifted our board of directors and junior board to be majority women of color. Throughout all of this work, we also are making some pretty big leaps. And this is the biggest leap our organization has ever made, both in terms of budget and size of the team. And so with this work, Title IX funding will go a long way to be able to close a gap. Right now, we're trying to raise about $80,000 this year. And that gap will be able to be reinvested with women, girls, and under-resourced communities through our after-school programs and our youth leadership initiatives. So I want to end in this speech by offering a little bit of an excerpt from a poem from one of our youth poet laureates. And her poem really just illustrates how important it is to do this work. And I can't speak for her, so I encourage people to watch the video that I'm going to send out. Unspoken similarities. When that door closes while I'm sitting at my desk, I swear I can hear a jail cell close. Officers walking by every 3 minutes like they just can't wait for that referral you get when you voice your opinion, or educate the teacher, or better yet, stick up for yourself. Ah, the system. Where whenever officers want to harm us, they do, where the innocence is stripped away. I'm supposed to sit here and listen to the white people talk, read me their books, and educate me on their history, when you have done nothing but make the very jail my sisters sleep in every night, the very stereotypes that put bullets in my brothers. Educational or correctional institutions can't decide, because my black and brown people have been struggling to see the difference. They suspend and expel for minor issues, sleeping, breathing, telling the truth, standing up for our rights. Sad to say, this education system looks a lot like the corrupt legal system. Our system shouldn't look this way, but until we have something different, we need to create a space to feel safe and brave enough to face it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. So just some number questions, because your presentation was lovely. It helps that that's your whole business. That's awesome to see. So I think we have here that previously when you presented that your budget was $350,000 and you said it's $473, and then you also said you had this $80K gap. Can you just give me a little bit of understanding of that growth and where the gap is in the process?
Yes, so about 85% to 90% is our goal of putting the money back into programs. So most of the people that we hire are people who lead programs and are directly involved in the work with youth. The hard thing is that with public speaking is that it's very intimate, and so our groups are definitely smaller, so then we need more people. And I believe believe in hiring and paying people for that work and not just doing it based on volunteers. So for us, 350 last year, and then this big leap to 473 in part was to strengthen our operations team. So we have an operations manager now, our development director's over there. And so that's really gone a long way, especially with district work, which is very complicated, and all the partnership work. And then the 80K gap right now is to be able to bring on more coaches to be able to serve more elementary schools.
Sorry, I asked the question in a bad way. I actually am really glad that your budget has grown. I meant more like, how did you fund it? Like, how have you financially made that difference, and how does that affect your growth moving forward?
Yes, it's amazing when you think and try more boldly, you can make bigger things happen. So I think a lot of it was also just being able to be more ambitious with our work. But in particular, right now, our split is about 70% grants. And so we have a few grants, both locally and with the Hewlett Foundation. About 22% is earned revenue with our partners, and then 8% is donations. And then what we want to do with the strategic plan is actually to move up the earned revenue to about 35%, so that it's better balanced with the grants. When you look at our pie chart, it looks like we get grants to fund payroll. And so we want to be able to balance that out with those strategic partnerships on that second goal there. Hope that answers. Great.
Congratulations on what sounds like a really successful year since the last time you were up here.
Yes.
I'm wondering, in that year, how has your role changed? What things are you focusing on, and what things are you letting go, and how are you feeling about that?
Yes. Well, I started the practice space, for those who are newer to me, mainly because I grew up in the same community that our students are in, and I wanted to get closer to the community, and I felt like I was getting further and further away from that work. So for me, the goal is always to have that touch with students and with young people. I started off with like 80% of my time teaching in programs. My goal eventually is to get to 35 and just hit there. About a third of my work is always with young people and with our strategic partners like Title IX. Right now I'm probably about 50-50. So, but that's a pretty big shift for me to be able to work alongside Caroline on more of our grants, to think about grants all year, as opposed to my main strategy is to do spikes of activity. And so now it's being able to be more continuous with our work, and then working with our operations manager. So there's definitely more, for my role, more of an eye to what's next and what's the future. And then being able to have more repeatable programs so that I don't have to be the one customizing each time, and more people can take that on. This past spring was the first time I had completely, actually didn't do any programs. And so all of them were coaches, many of whom were the graduates of our programs. We have 21 new coaches coming on this summer, and they're all former graduates of our programs. And they're so passionate about it, and they do it really well. So why do I always need to do it? So
that's really exciting. Can you remind me the just numbers again about the participants in your 3-year plan? How many people are you hoping to touch with the programs?
Yes, about 2,000 additional new people, but we always have the retention. So we've served 1,600 in the last 5 years. So in the next 2.5 to 3, we're aiming to basically do the same thing, but that's half of the time. So 2,000 new participants, and staying with the 60% youth and 40% adults. And a lot of the work, starting a pipeline in elementary schools to build up to the high school work that we've always done.
That's great. And just to quickly follow on to that, then what's the goal for keeping kids involved in the program? How many years are you trying to have them stay involved?
Yeah, it was hard to tell at first. Right now, I see when students make growth, and actually adults are like this too, there's a quick jump in confidence and communication skills, and then to really be able to master public speaking and have like the internalization of those skills, it's about 2 years. And then our goal is to help everybody have this path towards being a coach. So a moment of success is that you can teach other people. And we have that happening in a number of our middle school programs right now, where one of our high school students has just started a number of different middle school programs himself, and I think he's going to be one of my competitors in the future. He's like, oh, gateway public speaking. I'm like, wait a second.
So when you said there was 400 new participants this past year, right? So how many people in just this past year did you serve total?
In total?
Yeah.
So 400 new, it's about 650.
Cool.
So about 250 returning people for every 400 new.
Awesome. And then I kind of have like a meta question from a fundraising perspective. Like I thought that you did a really good job speaking to your Title IX audience, right? Because you like brought them in and you did all this stuff to be like, you guys rock, give me more money, which is killer. But like, how did you think about that? Like when you think about who you're talking to, can you talk a little bit about like how you bring storytelling and mission-driven thoughts in that process?
Yes, that's a huge part of our storytelling workshops, actually, is to start with yourself and start with yourself in relationship to your audience. The easy thing here is there's plenty of stories because Title IX wasn't just a pitch fest for us. It just rippled and rippled and rippled. I mean, it pretty much consistently all year. There was something with Alliance for Girls, or we had our board here, or even the posters that you see, the posters with the girls here and with me, all of that was with Kate Parker. And so it was very easy to pick out those moments. But in our programs, we talk about storytelling, what matters to you. And then there's a lot that matters to you. So you whittle it down and you make really strategic choices about what does your audience care about, and that helps you whittle down what you want to say. And then you're there. But the first principle of communication is connection. Yeah.
It sounds like you've had tons and tons of success. What keeps you up at night?
Yes. Well, a few months ago, what kept me up at night was all of these new coaches going out there and being able to maintain high quality programs when I was just going in there to observe. And then I've been observing all spring, and it's so awesome. And actually, especially with the little ones, I was a high school special education teacher. So with the little ones, our coaches are doing a better job than I would have. The thing that keeps me up at night now is being able to get more coaches to be able to keep up with the demand, and being able to find the right partners, not just any partner. And so being able to continue to be selective. So for us, there is a lot of growth, but it's not growth for growth's sake. It's more to be able to reach especially under-resourced communities and these low-income schools. So actually for the last 3 years, the school district at West Contra Costa wanted us to serve all the elementary schools. They just said, can you do it tomorrow? Actually, it was like maybe 5 days from that call. They just wanted us to launch in 16 elementary schools. So I said, no, we're not quite ready for that yet, but we did 2. And then we're going to do 4 in the fall, and then we're going to do 8 in the spring. And so being able to grow that way. And so I haven't done that work before. I've managed teams before, but I haven't done that kind of work, and it's so special to me. So, just there's a little bit of anxiety and doubt around that, but I have a really good team. We have 7 staff members now, and 4 of them are full-time, and it's a majority women team, and it's fun to be in our new office that has just piles of stuff right now that we're going to make sense of later. And we have our 5-year anniversary party on Sunday, so it'll be fun to just look back on all the memories, which makes it all worth it, even on those times when you wake up in the middle of the night with lots of ideas and write them on Post-its. Yes. Thank you.